Ever felt like someone was pulling the strings behind every decision you make, whispering just enough to steer you without you even noticing? That invisible tug is the hallmark of manipulation, and it's happening right now. Whether you're scrolling through a glossy ad, listening to a persuasive sales pitch, or even chatting with a friend who seems a little too eager to agree with you. In the next few minutes, I'm going to pull back the curtain on every major manipulation technique you might encounter and give you the exact tools to cut those strings and reclaim your freedom. I'm a behavioral science enthusiast who has spent years dissecting the subtle levers that shape our thoughts, emotions, and actions. Manipulation isn't a secret art reserved for villains in movies. It's a set of psychological shortcuts that anyone can learn and use, from marketers and politicians to everyday people who simply want to get their way. Today we'll map out 4 broad categories of tactics, walk through real-world examples for each, and most importantly, arm you with battle-tested countermeasures you can apply instantly. First, let's lay the groundwork by understanding why our minds are so vulnerable. Our brains are wired to rely on shortcuts, what psychologists call System 1 thinking, which favors quick, emotional judgments over slow, deliberate analysis. This is why cognitive biases, such as reciprocity, scarcity, authority, social proof, commitment and consistency, and liking, can hijack our decision-making in an instant. Imagine you receive a free sample of a product. The feeling of receiving something for free triggers a hidden urge to return the favor, even if you never asked for it. Or picture a flashing banner that says, "Only a few items left." That scarcity cue lights up a fear of missing out, pushing you to buy before you've even considered whether you need it. Celebrity endorsements work because we automatically trust authority figures, and when a crowd of people appears to love something, we assume it must be good, thanks to social proof. Recognizing these biases is the first line of defense. Once you spot the shortcut, you can pause and engage your slower, more analytical brain. Next, we move from the mental shortcuts to the more direct verbal and nonverbal tricks that people use in face-to-face interactions. Gaslighting, for instance, is a relentless campaign to rewrite reality, making the target doubt their own memory and perception. A classic scenario is a partner who insists you never said something you're sure you did, gradually eroding your confidence. Love bombing and mirroring are another pair of tactics. An individual showers you with excessive affection and compliments, then subtly mirrors your language and body language to create a false sense of intimacy and trust. The foot in the door technique starts with a tiny request. Could you sign this short form? And once you comply, the manipulator follows up with a much larger ask, banking on your desire to stay consistent. The door-in-the-face approach flips this, beginning with an outrageous demand that you reject, only to follow with a reasonable request that feels like a concession. Both rely on the principle of commitment, nudging you to stay aligned with your earlier behavior. Now let's step into the digital arena, where algorithms and data amplify these age-old tactics to a whole new level. Targeted advertising uses your browsing history to serve you messages that hit your most sensitive triggers, whether that's fear of insecurity, desire for status, or the need for belonging. Social media platforms exploit the dopamine hit of likes and comments, turning validation into a habit loop that keeps you scrolling and engaging with content designed to manipulate your emotions. Deepfakes and synthetic media add a layer of deception that can make false statements appear authentic, making it harder than ever to trust what you see. The key to defending yourself online is to cultivate digital literacy. Question the source, check multiple references, and set clear boundaries on how much personal data you share. All of these techniques share a common thread. They bypass your rational mind by appealing directly to emotion, identity, or social belonging. The moment you become aware of the pattern, you can interrupt the process. One powerful habit is to pause and ask yourself 3 simple questions. What is the underlying need being targeted? Is this request aligned with my long-term goals? And what evidence do I have that supports or contradicts this claim? By inserting that brief moment of reflection, you shift the decision back into System 2, where you have the power to choose rather than react. If this is blowing your mind, hit that subscribe button and let's keep exploring together. But there's one technique that cuts through every trick, no matter how polished or how high-tech it is. It's called the pause and question method, and it works because it forces the brain to switch from the fast, automatic mode to the slower, analytical mode. The moment you feel that tug of urgency, a limited time offer flashing, a friend demanding an immediate answer, a notification buzzing with a sensational headline, deliberately insert a breath, count to 3 in your head, and then ask yourself the 3 questions you just heard. This tiny ritual creates a mental buffer that gives you space to evaluate motives, check facts, and align the request with your own values. Over time, that pause becomes a habit, and the manipulator's pressure loses its edge. Let's test it together. Imagine you receive a message that says, "Only 2 spots left for the exclusive webinar. Sign up now before they're gone." Your first instinct might be to click, driven by scarcity. Now, pause. Ask, what is the underlying need being targeted? Likely the fear of missing out. Is this request aligned with my long-term goals? If the webinar doesn't directly support a goal I've set, maybe it's not worth the time. What evidence do I have that this claim is true? Can I verify the number of spots elsewhere? By walking through those steps, you either confirm the offer's legitimacy or you step back, saving yourself from a potential waste. The same principle works in personal relationships. If a friend says, "I need you to cover my shift because I'm really overwhelmed," you might feel compelled to help out of guilt. Pause. What need is being targeted? Guilt or the desire to be liked? Does covering the shift fit with your own schedule and priorities? And do you have any reason to suspect that this is a pattern of taking advantage? Answering those questions lets you set healthy boundaries without feeling selfish. And in the digital world, where deepfakes and algorithmic echo chambers thrive, the pause and question method becomes even more vital. When you see a video that looks authentic but feels too sensational, stop. Who created it and why? Does it align with what you already know, or is it trying to provoke an emotional reaction? Cross-check the source, look for corroborating reports, and decide whether to share or ignore. By treating every piece of content as a claim that needs verification, you become a filter that blocks manipulation before it reaches your mind. Now, let's bring everything together. We've uncovered the psychological foundations that make us vulnerable, the verbal and nonverbal tactics that exploit those foundations, and the digital amplifiers that spread them at scale. We've also equipped you with a universal defense that you can apply in any situation. The real power, however, lies in consistency. Each time you practice the pause, you strengthen the neural pathways that favor thoughtful decision-making over reflexive compliance. Over weeks and months, you'll notice a shift. You'll feel less rushed, more in control, and increasingly skeptical of offers that rely on pressure or emotion alone. Before we wrap up, I want to hear from you. Which manipulation technique has caught you off guard the most? Have you ever used the pause and question method and felt it change the outcome? Drop your stories in the comments. Sharing experiences helps us all stay sharper. If you found this deep dive useful, give the video a thumbs up and consider subscribing so you won't miss future episodes where we break down more hidden influences and practical ways to stay mentally free. Your support fuels the channel and lets us keep delivering content that empowers you to think critically and act intentionally. Remember, the strings may be everywhere, but with awareness and a simple pause, you hold the scissors. Stay curious, stay vigilant, and I'll see you in the next video.